Hi there. Thanks for coming down to Reality Ranch on WMYQ Miami. We talk about anything at all, but the opinions aren't necessarily those of the management of WMYQ. Call your friendly rancher at 673-9636 in Dade County. In Broward, call 761-9636. Oh. Good evening. I'm Rancher Steve. And thank you, Mr. Piggy. Boy, what a busy day. I mean, I had the busiest weekend you could... Oh, you just can't imagine how busy it was this weekend. Got off to a great start, got my bicycle out of the repair shop, and got ready for the bike-a-thon. I went to the bike-a-thon this morning, and I pedaled one way. I had to go back. I didn't do it both ways. I used the excuse that I could... I had to sleep so that I'd be okay for tonight, and actually, I don't think I could have made it back the second lap of the bike-a-thon. It was really nice, though. I enjoyed it. We went from Matheson Hammock Park all the way up to Hobie Cat Island, and a little later on in the show, we're going to have an interview with some of the folks that were involved in the bike-a-thon for the benefit of muscular dystrophy, and we'll tell you all about that. Right now, in this very room with me, is John Ellis. Now, John, do you want to tell us who you are?
I'm the national president of the largest Star Trek and science fiction club in the country, the Star Trek Federation of Fans. We've been in existence for over a year and are going strong.
It's obvious at this point. This entire show is going to be about Star Trek. That's right. Everybody that's called up on the phone told me that they like Star Trek. They think it's a great series, and so we have decided to do an entire show about Star Trek. I mean, completely about Star Trek. Right after we play this song for you, we're going to play an interview with Gene Roddenberry. Star Trek. Right now we have an interview, and I want to note that everything we do here tonight was done with the assistance of John Ellis, who is the head of the Star Trek fan club, and it wouldn't have been possible without his help. To start out, Gene Roddenberry. Tell us a little bit about Gene before we go into the interview.
Well, he started out as a pilot back during World War II and afterwards, and became a police detective after that, and decided that most of the scripts on television for many shows were lacking and wanted to do the best he could to change the situation. He wrote scripts for Highway Patrol and many other series, and then went into and did his own series, The Lieutenant, which is where he worked with most of the people that were on Star Trek and got to know them, and then pulled on their talents to do Star Trek because he had already worked with them and knew them.
You know Gene, of course.
Yes.
And, well, the only way that you can get any kind of grasp of somebody like Gene Roddenberry, somebody who's run the gamut of just about everything you could ever want to do, is to actually listen to him answer questions. And so, here's the interview. There's the possibility that there will be another Star Trek series. Well, not a series, but a movie, a feature-length movie. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, I think there's a very good possibility, and I think almost a probability that we will do a full-length Star Trek motion picture for theatrical release. That's in the neighborhood theaters, which pleases me because it means that we will have adequate budget to rebuild the sets and hire good guest stars and do the thing do it the way we've always dreamed of doing it.
I would like to ask this: will Leonard Nimoy or William Shatner or any of the other old Star Trek crew be in the feature-length movie?
I want them all, and I have personal commitments from all of them that, assuming the script is satisfactory, the normal career considerations, that the salary is proper and that thing, they'd all love to do it.
What really was Star Trek all about? I've watched it time and time again, and sometimes I...
Well, let me add something to a previous question you started. You said something about a series. I've talked to NBC and to Paramount, and if the movie is a success, and if possible, if it is, we may even make several movies before we're finished. But the network is indicated to me they'd like very much to see us return to television. Now, we don't want to do it as another hour series because we'd like to do something better. So the general plan now is if we return to television and all goes well, we'll probably return and do a series of 90-minute or 2-hour specials every year, Star Trek specials.
I really think that's a great idea.
So that would be great fun. That would give us budget for top writers again and top directors and again a chance to do it the way we'd like to do it and get out of the hassle of, the old days we used to work about 14 hours a day and we used to have to turn them out in 6 days and wow, I don't know that we're up to going through all that again.
This has always been on my mind. When I watch Star Trek, and I've seen virtually every Star Trek in repeats and so on and so forth, it always seems to me that there's a lot more to Star Trek than just a sci-fi television series. What else was behind Star Trek?
Star Trek was my own effort to break through some of the censorship restrictions that television had in those days, and it still has many of them, and talk about things that I thought were important, such as religion, politics, sex, tolerance. So I used the future essentially to talk about today. Most of our stories had some thematic point that is of importance to us right now. For instance, if we don't get rid of petty nationalism, it's going to destroy all of us. And we better learn to accept each other as brothers because, man, when we get out into space, we're going to meet things that if we don't learn tolerance by then, we're going to be in trouble. And all of those things.
John, do you have any questions for Mr. Roddenberry?
Well, not offhand. I spent an hour or so with him about 4 weeks ago, and a very enjoyable hour, I might add.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
That was really that you can get through all the red tape and manage to get something really rolling.
We're going through the normal and expected arguments and differences of opinion between myself and the studio on what the movie should be about. I feel an obligation to keep it truly Star Trek. I don't want the thing to end up Captain Kirk meets the monster Godzilla or something like that. But I think in the end we'll resolve our difficulties. It just has meant that instead of having it out by the end of this year, it'll probably be 6 months later before we get everything resolved. If we're going to do it, I'd like to do it proudly and something that myself and the actors can do with pride.
Was there really a star of Star Trek? Was Captain Kirk really the star, or was there just a whole bunch of stars?
I think there was a whole bunch of stars. Bill Shatner as Captain Kirk was certainly the lead, and I think could be called the star. I think that Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, was such an unusual character. He was sort of a star all in himself. I think you could say the same thing of the family group of the crew. Some people have written saying, I think the Enterprise was the star. I really don't care which was. It all seemed to work, and we had fun with it.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell Star Trek fans that maybe they haven't heard or that they'd like to hear again?
Well, I guess the only recent news I have for them, and I don't think I've said this on any program or in any interview yet, is I have 2 other projects I'm working on concurrently. I have signed a contract to do a motion picture investigating psi phenomena, telepathy, telekinesis, and all of these related things. I'm not it's not a propaganda film. I'm not an advocate of them. I can't say honestly I believe in them or disbelieve in them, but I'm going to do a movie investigating the whole phenomenon. And really looking forward to that because there's a lot of interest now, and among some serious scientists, do our minds have powers that we really don't understand and haven't really learned to use? The other thing that I'm just in the talking stages about, just in the story outlining stage about, there is a group of people in New York that have asked me if I'd like to do for Broadway a science fiction musical. And I'm leaving for New York shortly to meet with the group and meet with the composer and see how serious we want to be about it. It sounds like it would be a lot of fun if we did it.
What was the most difficult problem you encountered during the years that Star Trek was on the air?
I think the single most difficult problem was that the industry out here, and I wouldn't put a finger on the networks any more than the studios or anyone else, really didn't understand what science fiction was. They thought of it in terms of Flash Gordon. They thought science fiction was a lot of flashing lights and zap guns and gadgetry, whereas I've believed, and I think everyone who has read science fiction seriously knows, that science fiction is really intelligent speculation about who we are and where we're going. That it is a marvelous vehicle for writers to speculate, to do serious speculation in an entertaining way. And so, whereas they looked down on science fiction, it was hard to get them to understand that we were doing it as seriously as we would do any other dramatic show.
How much of Star Trek was truly valuable educational material for the present day?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think all serious writing, whether it is science fiction or whether it's I don't put myself in the class with Faulkner and Jans and people like that, but I think all good serious writing is valuable. It is the duty of the writer to speculate on things of importance to ourselves and to sort of give us new insights into ourselves, who we are, what our society is, what its pitfalls are, what its joys really should be. And so, in that sense, I think Star Trek was valuable, but I think all serious writing, if you're lucky enough to do it well and entertainingly, is valuable.
One thing that I've felt about Star Trek, and most of the other fans feel, is that it showed what brotherhood is and how people can live and work together no matter what their race, religion, or creed is. And that is indeed important in our times of despair and falling, decaying morals and things. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that's very perceptive. That was really our overall message. At a time in which everyone is saying it's all over, it's all been invented, we may not last another 20 years, what we were trying to say is that if we will use our God-given intelligence, if we will learn to emphasize affection, respect, and love for each other as much as we emphasize our instruments of destruction, why mankind has a bright and splendid future, and it need not all be over. In fact, it may very well just be the beginning of the grandest adventures of all.
Do you really think there'll be a Space Federation someday?
I think that as we discover other intelligent life, that certainly we will bind ourselves to them, if only out of a respect for intelligence and life form. I hope by the time that we get into space, we'll have lost those primitive selfishness, and when we say, well, if we get together with you, we've got to be the center of it, and all that sort of thing. Whether it will be, we set up our federation in space under a political system that would be familiar to our 20th century audience. I think probably 200 or 300 years from now, it will be nothing like that. But of course, when you're writing a show for a mass audience, and not just science fiction fans, you've got to also be pulling people away from Beverly Hillbillies and things like that. You have to put these things in contemporary terms. For instance, your characters have to be, from their attitudes and morals and ways of doing things, have to be somewhat akin to 20th century men. Otherwise, to the non-science fiction viewer, it seems so strange they would reject them.
So, Star Trek is really basically a mass appeal science fiction thing, rather than actually something for the sci-fi fans.
Yes, you see, in order to get a television series on the air in prime time and keep it there, you have to attract upwards of something 18 to 20 million people. If I did a show only for science fiction fans, the best I could do was attract 5 or 8 million, and I'd never get it on the air, and I'd never keep it there. So you must make some compromises in order to attract these other people, which is not bad, because what happens is you take people who have never really enjoyed anything but westerns before, and they watch it for a while, and you sort of open their vistas a little bit.
It's the same thing that Jonathan Swift did with Gulliver's Travels. In order to say something about his time of living, he had to write something, a fantasy about some other place in order to keep from being beheaded.
Yes, he wrote a number of charming things. He invented the Lilliputians and so on, so that a child can read it, enjoy it as a marvelous fairy tale, and as you know, later on when you're in college, you read it and understand that it was also a marvelous satire on the political and religious systems of his time. And that's what we tried to do in Star Trek. We tried to write it so that a mass mind would enjoy it as fun and adventure, and that more thoughtful people would see in it the other things we were talking about.
Have you seen any superb science fiction on television since the end of Star Trek?
I regret to say that I haven't. And this is not a selfish feeling. I I have no feeling that I have no feeling that I want all other science fiction to fail so that my efforts at Star Trek will stand above them. I would like to see good science fiction on television. I think it's a marvelous vehicle, and nothing would please me more to see good ones come on. And I think they will. But they have to get, but you still, even today after Star Trek, have to fight past the studio and network attitude that science fiction really is just a lot of flashing lights and zap guns, and that's what it is.
I have one last question. This is kind of a selfish question. The media is a massive, it's a tremendous power. It's capable of molding people and their minds. How much of Star Trek was intended to change the condition in the United States?
Well, going back to my original statement, I think all writers have the dream of writing and changing opinions and attitudes. I think Star Trek will change a surprising number of attitudes eventually. I think that certainly the generation that grew up with Star Trek is going to be more in favor of expenditures for space travel, exploration than their parents were. I think that's again, the aim of all serious writing. I know that my friend Norman Lear, who does All in the Family about the bigoted Archie Bunker, is working very hard and very honorably to try to show in a comedy way the silliness of bigotry.
Mr. Roddenberry, thank you very much for spending your time with us this evening, and I wish you the best of luck. I can hardly wait to see the movie. I think Star Trek...
I hardly wait to see it myself.
Well, I think Star Trek is the best, is undoubtedly the best television series I've ever seen in its category.
Well, I hope you feel the same way about the movie. No producer writer can guarantee going in that it's going to be good or bad. I'll just say to you and your audience that whatever it is, it will be the result of a great deal of hard work on our part.
Isn't that good? Isn't that fun? We are in the process of putting together for you a special on Star Trek. I think you can hear that we're dealing with Star Trek. Right now, we are trying to get, of all folks on the line, the guy with the Scottish accent. His name is Scotty. Jimmy Doohan. Okay. Do you have him on the line? Is he on the line, John?
No, the phone company did it again.
Okay, well, if you want, you might want to try this line. Okay? Does that help? Yeah. Okay. We are trying to get Scotty on the radio right now. This is a lot of fun. I really like the series Star Trek. You know, I really enjoyed that while it was on the television set as a regular thing. And, well, you know, that's one of the few things I do get a chance to watch every day. Just about the time I get home. Wait a second, that's not right. When do I see Star Trek now? I see Star Trek occasionally now.
Saturdays and Sundays.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah, that's right. But I do see Star Trek, and I really enjoyed it.
Are we on the air here?
Oh, you're not. The telephone's not on the air yet. But we're calling Scotty. You know who he is. Jimmy Doohan. Okay. The engineer officer, Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott. Mm-hmm.
On in a moment.
Okay. Okay. We're working here to get...
I'll give you the phone, right?
Pardon me?
Hello, Jim? Okay, we're going to be on the air in just a second here.
Okay, well, we can put him on the air right now.
Okay, we're going to put you on there right now.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear Steve?
I'm talking to Steve, not you.
You're talking to both of us, Scotty.
Hi, I can hear you.
Ah, yes, that's good.
Can you hear me now? I'm on now.
Okay, I can hear you but faintly.
Okay. Do you have a question for Montgomery Scott? Jimmy Doohan. Do you have a question for him, John?
Well, I'd like to know what kind of a part you'll be playing in the film, if they do the film, if you have any idea about this.
Well, I have no idea other than play the character of Scott. Whatever trouble and emotional conflicts that Mr. Scott gets into, that's what I'll be playing. So we have to wait and see what the script is going to be.
Gene Roddenberry, I believe, or someone mentioned something about a lush. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, well, that was in the script that Gene first wrote. That Mr. Scott sort of retired from the thing and became a lush and everything else. And I think Gene's probably really writing about himself rather than me. Because I did a drunk scene in Star Trek, you know, where I had to drink that fella under the table. He just decided that he'd write about that, and not only that, because everybody asks me, you know, what I like to drink, and I like to drink scotch, but I don't drink that much.
What specific series did you enjoy the most during the era of Star Trek?
Well, the first 2 years were very exciting, and particularly, I think, the second year. But there were some great scripts in the first year. The third year, scripts weren't too good, but by that time we all knew, the writers knew, and the executive producer knew that we were not going to be on the air next year other than some second miracle. It was a miracle we even got on the third year. But I think that the first and second year, or particularly the latter half of the first year and the whole of the second year, there were some fabulous scripts written, and I really can say that that was the period that I liked the best of all. I have a big jet passing overhead, so I can hear whatever you're going to say to me, and I'll just give me the count of about 1, 2, 3, and it'll be gone.
How much of Scotty was in you, or you were in Scotty, as the case may be?
I think quite a bit, because I have a very scientific, technical mind anyway.
and I was always very good in science and mathematics, and I read and still do read as much technical and scientific material that my education will allow.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you really have a Scottish dialect?
Well, yes, I had, because, but I put those accents on. You see, I do a lot of different accents.
Mm-hmm.
And, but what happened was that about 2 weeks before they did the second pilot of Star Trek, I read for a director named Jimmy Goldstone, and I played or read for the part of an Englishman, and I didn't get that job, but he was so impressed with my accent that he said, why don't you come down and read for these Star Trek people? He said, because I'll be directing the pilot there. I'd like you to read for these people. So I went down and I did about 5 different accents for them, and they picked the Scottish accent. And so that's the accent that Scotty became, and I like doing it because I like the Scottish accent, and I do it well. And I fool all the Scotsmen, but they don't seem to mind, because they're lovely people, and I think it really is probably sort of a compliment to them that I do it so well.
Has doing the accent, the Scottish accent, gotten you into any trouble, more or less?
No, not at all. The only trouble it's got me into is that I have gone to Scottish games, and they asked me to enter into all the different Scottish sports, and some of them I've never done before in my life, like tossing that telephone pole, you know, the caber. And that's not too easy.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Doohan. It seems that Star Trek had, more than any other television series, a real fan following, and perhaps that's why, to this day, Star Trek's really a legend. Have you really experienced anything unusual with Star Trek, more so than any other series you might have done?
Well, Star Trek, of course, was the biggest series that I have ever done. In other words, it was the most famous, and it turned into the most famous one of any series. People today, like I heard a fellow on the Johnny Carson show the other night. I forget what he was talking about, but he said, well, you know, it's just like in Star Trek. And, of course, everybody nods and knows exactly what he's talking about, even Johnny Carson. And so it certainly is the, most famous series, but and there are conventions. There was just a convention held in Chicago, last weekend, or the weekend before last, and 16,000 people appeared there. And that's fantastic, but that's not the only convention. There are probably 10, 15 conventions each year throughout the country, and there is a convention being held in England in the middle of September, the 20th, 21st of September, and I may be going over to that one. I don't know yet. And it's just worldwide, and there are people who are trying to organize conventions for Star Trek, sort of take you to Australia and Tokyo and, all over the world.
What have you been doing since Star Trek, as far as acting?
Concerned, well, I just finished an hour-and-a-half TV show in Toronto, Canada, which will probably be seen on the public broadcasting system. Probably not this year, but next year, if they sell it.
If I may, I'd like to call you Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott for a minute and ask you to remember what it was like playing next to Spock and Captain Kirk, where they are something you don't experience on Earth in this present day and age. Did you have any difficulty relating to to what life would be X number of years hence or forward?
No, I don't think so, because I think that, like when I think in scientific terms, I'm usually thinking about 100 years ahead anyway. And not only that, as they acted the part so well that what could you do, you know, but go along and act your part well and believe them. It wasn't very difficult. I think they both did a fabulous job, and that's one thing that we were so fortunate on in Star Trek is that we were really a family. We had a few little family fights, but not many, you know, compared to some other series that I have been on for maybe 2 or 3 times, you know. But Star Trek was really a family, and we were all like brothers and sisters.
Did Bill Shatner at any force during the series ever pull any really horrendous practical jokes on you as he's been known to do?
Well, I tell you, it's an awful long time ago, and everybody asked us this question, and we certainly pulled an awful lot of them, but the only one that really comes to mind was the one that we all pulled on Leonard when we hiked his bicycle up.
They pulled it up into the rafters.
But it's 10 years ago now. Nearly 10, anyway. Well, certainly is 10 since we did the pilot.
Well, outside of your own role as Scotty, what other role? Was there any other character, not necessarily the actor or actress, but was there any other character in the series that you particularly enjoyed, whether it's one of the aliens or otherwise?
Well, we particularly enjoyed so many of the beautiful women that we had on the show. To demonstrate those characters, I really enjoyed Mr. Spock very much. That was a lovely character. Well done. And it was interesting to watch the different actors grow in their different parts. You know, it was interesting to watch Bill Shatner grow into Captain Kirk and Leonard Nimoy into Mr. Spock and so on, you know. And one of the people I particularly enjoyed watching was Sulu, George Takei. And I thought he always did such a great job, you know. But George is one of these fellows where you gotta watch him, never go hunting with him, you know. But don't do any sword fights with him.
We'll be talking with him in just a little while. We'll call him up. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, I think that I really appreciate that you would spend your Sunday night talking with us on Reality Ranch here in Miami Beach, and I really thank you for your time. It's just an honor to have you folks from Star Trek with us on Reality Ranch. Jimmy Doohan, Scotty, engineering officer of the Enterprise. Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott was the official name. Do you have anything you'd like to say about the condition of the Enterprise?
Well, the condition of the Enterprise, when we do a film, we will obviously be having a new ship. I don't know whether it'll be as good as the Enterprise, for Montgomery Scott's money, but it was always in as very good condition as I could, keep it together. And we hope that I learned to love the new ship. And but one thing I do want to say is that I will be so pleased to be at the Miami Con Convention #1 in Miami, and then just about the weekend before Christmas. And I'll be down there, and I would hope to see an awful lot of people from Miami there. And I suppose I should do something in a Scottish accent. I should talk like that sometime. So if you want to ask me another question, I'll try to do it as a Scotsman.
Well, go ahead.
In the light of the Enterprise there, I'd like to know what you thought of Matt Jeffries and Mike Miner's work on the models and special effects on the show.
Oh, I thought they did a great job, particularly the part that is called the Jeffries Cube, you know. I think the whole model of the ship and the whole, the planning of it and everything else was quite gorgeous. I looked at the earlier attempts that they had, and I didn't think they were anywhere near, but when I saw the final, that was just gorgeous. I think it was a beautiful spaceship.
Jimmy Doohan, thank you very much for being on Reality Ranch with us, and the thanks comes from John Ellis, who is the Star Trek Fan Club chief down here, and have a good Sunday, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good night. Okay, well, that's Scotty. I never thought I got it. I just never thought I'd get a chance to talk with Scotty. I can't believe it. Now, who are we going to talk with next?
Next, we'll be talking to...
Are we going to talk to Sulu next, or are we going to talk to our science fiction writer, Norman Spinrad?
How about Norman Spinrad?
Okay, we'll do Norman next. Before we do that, we've got... I'm certain we have tons of Star Trek fans. I mean, literally hundreds of Star Trek fans. Yeah, thousands. Maybe that's a more appropriate number. Just waiting to find out a little bit more about Star Trek. Now, what's the official name of your fan club down here?
The Star Trek Federation of Fans. It's a national fan club all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 16 chapters in 6 states, approaching 2,000 members now, and we're really trying to make it as good as possible for the fans. One a club. Up to this point, there wasn't really a club that you could join and have fun in, and do it cheaply. Dues are very, very minimal. Something like $5 a year for adults and $3 a year for children.
Now, what kind of services do you offer in the Star Trek fan club?
Information. We have a monthly newsletter. We were by every other month up until last month, and now we're going monthly again. And information on the movie, the Star Trek movie, and any other activities that are going on. With your membership kit, you get a number of things, prestigious items, such as a membership card. That's kind of
I see a little red light flashing, so I'm going to ask the folks that are on the telephone right now, if you'd hold on just a moment, I'll be right back with you, okay? Hold on. Okay, now then. Hello. We will. This is Steve Hammel. John is on the phone with me, and we are on the radio right now. Hello.
Hello. Is that all right, Mr. Hamilton? That's fine by me. That's fine by me.
Okay, John, do you want to talk with us?
On the phone with us right now is Harlan Ellison, one of the deans of science fiction writing. Has written so many short stories and novels, I can't count them, can't remember half of them, but he's really a top writer for many shows and television also, such as The Outer Limits and The Sixth Sense. How are you doing, Harlan?
I'm doing fine. I can barely hear you, though, Mr. Ellison.
You can barely hear me. How's that?
That's much better.
Okay. I'm glad you got back with us.
I went to a screening here in Hollywood of the new movie, and we got back and found the message and got through you as best we could.
Wow, it's great. Haven't had a chance to talk to your mother while I've been down here in Miami, but I'm sure going to try tomorrow.
That will blow her away.
So what have you been doing basically since you wrote the script? Well, I know you've been doing a hell of a lot probably since you wrote The City on the Edge of Forever, Star Trek. I know you've had several series under consideration.
Well, that's a number of years ago. That was 1966, 67 that I did that one. I've been a busy lad since then. You don't really want me to whip my credentials on you, do you?
Well, I'm trying to give the audience here a little bit bit of perspective on you.
Want to convince them that I'm a wonderfully decent, good human being.
Right.
Okay, let's see. The most recent things are I just won my 6th Hugo Award, which is like the Oscar in the science fiction world. I won for the novelette category this year, and in fact it was awarded at the World Science Fiction Convention in Australia just a couple of weeks ago, and they brought it back to me, and that makes 6, and it turns out I'm the first writer to ever win 6, which is kind of awesome to me, since I, started out as a little pisher, and I've got a whole series of my books coming out from Pyramid Books. They're doing one a month. They began last February, and there'll be 21 before they get finished. They're bringing all of my books back to print. My movie, A Boy and His Dog, which is based on my novella, A Boy and His Dog, is open all around the country. I don't know if it's open in Miami yet, but it opens here in L.A. October 3rd. And I'm leaving for Europe on Thursday. I'm going to England for the first time. And I just had a new book, well, I had 3 new books published in the last 6 or 7 months, but the last one was called Desperate Stories.
About Pyramid?
No, that's a hardcover from Harper and Row. And what else can I tell you?
Well, you can tell us a little bit about your part in Star Trek, or the creation of the series.
Well, my part in Star Trek was really minimal. Before the series ever went on the air, Gene Roddenberry got in touch with me. We had known each other, and he wanted... There are very few science fiction writers who work in the print medium who can also write television. Not for lack of ability, I'm sure, but just because most of them are spread out around the country because they've never worked in the field. And so I was one of the first writers engaged to do the show, and I wrote one script, that's all I wrote, City on the Edge of Forever, which turned out to win a Hugo, and it also won the Writers Guild Award as the most outstanding dramatic episodic script of the 66-67 season. And then I got very disenchanted with Star Trek and had nothing further to do with it. But oddly enough, this week I was contacted by Paramount. They wanted to know if I wanted to write the Star Trek movie. The honcho at Paramount, who had engaged Gene Roddenberry to write the script, and Gene spent 6 months writing it, had rejected the script on what I consider to be very specious grounds, but then I haven't read the script, so I can't really say whether they're specious, but they seem to be specious. And we started talking about me writing the screenplay for the feature film of Star Trek. But Paramount's a very interesting operation, as are most studios. They'll if you got something like Jaws, you see, and Jaws gets all the ballyhoo before it ever becomes a movie, then they'll pay through the nose to do it. But when they're hiring a writer, no matter how good a writer or how big his credentials are, they try and pay the lowest possible dollar, and they play you very cheap. And they started playing me very cheap, and then I found out that they were negotiating with another writer to write a backup script in case they didn't like mine, because they had just come through 6 months with Gene, and they hadn't liked his script, so they didn't want to get caught with another script they didn't like. And that's like having somebody breathing down your neck. It's not a case of writing to beat your own best work. It's you have to write to beat some other writer's work, and that's putting writers in the arena with a sword and a shield, and I can't go for that okey doke. So we parted company a couple of days ago, and I just told them to take it and put it up their nose. And I'm off to England.
Wow, it sounds great. Say, how is Boy and His Dog, your feature film, been doing? I've seen it in the theater twice, and I saw it at the Worldcon, 1.5 times, as you remember, and I was just wondering how well it's doing.
Well, it's doing very, very well. The last I heard, it had opened in something like 8 or 10 cities, and in the first 10 days that it was released, it made something like $275,000, and audiences all over the country are going bananas for it. And we've gotten something like, 50 or 60 reviews, and of those 60 reviews, we've gotten maybe 50 that were dynamite and said it was a great film, and we've gotten 10 from people who, I think, are brain damage cases, and most of them didn't even stay to see the film or something, and they have panned it.
But in the main, where the reviews are sensational, I mean, there are only two kinds of reviews. Either the film makes people very, very unhappy and turns them off instantly, and they say what a vile, sick, twisto film, or people say what a dynamite picture it is. And I'm very happy with it. It's the first one of my stories that's been done as a film that I like. Usually they muck it up something terrible, but this time it was done really fine, and I'm very happy with it. I think anybody who goes to see it will like it, and I guess the box office receipts are bearing that out.
Mr. Ellison, this is Steve Hammel. I haven't had a chance to introduce myself to you. I'm the host of Reality Ranch on 96 FM in Miami Beach. Now, what I'd like to ask you is why you parted company with Star Trek in the first place. You explained how Paramount, you didn't enjoy working with Paramount this past week. Why did you part company with Star Trek the first time around?
Well, how can I do this politically? What's the word I want? You know the word I want. How can I do this without being a creep? Gene Roddenberry and I had a falling out in terms of creativity about what would be done with my show. I thought that the rewrite that was expected of me and that I did several times, and then they put a couple other writers on to follow me up, cut the guts out of my show. And I thought at the time it was my feeling that Gene had lied to me. And I will not work for anybody who lies to me. It's just life is too short. So Gene and I didn't talk for many years as a result of it, and it was strictly on an artistic basis. I mean, Gene has always been a very, very kind and decent man, but I think he was under pressure from the network at that time. The budget was being cut, and I think he wanted to satisfy the network, and so he did things to my show which I was not happy about and which he promised me would not be done to my show. Subsequently, Gene and I buried the hatchet, as it were. We reached rapprochement, and he has done a number of very, very kind things for me. And so I kind of like Gene's bad-mouthing him at this point because it's now many years later.
So, in other words, you would say that the show apparently turned out pretty well. It was an award winner. So actually, the meat of your show was fine, and apparently the provision or the cuts they made in it either complimented it in the eyes of the beholders who dish out the awards, or your script was originally so solid they just couldn't help but give it an award.
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. First of all, the one that won the Writers Guild Award was my original version of the script. It was not what was shot. See, the Writers Guild Awards are the most honest awards in this industry. I mean, they're not like the Oscars, which are Mickey Mouse. They're nothing but popularity awards. The Writers Guild Awards are given on the basis of the written material, and so it was, in fact, my original script that won the award. The one that won the Hugo was the televised version. And of course, I would like to be arrogant enough to think that the script was just so damn good that even butchering it couldn't really hurt it. But look, if you ate nothing but McDonald's Toad Burgers all your life, right, you would think that was really great until somebody laid a filet mignon on you. In comparison to most of the other segments that were on Star Trek, which I was not particularly wildly enthusiastic about, it was a pretty good show. But having done the show myself, having written it, and I know how good the quality of that script was, I can only say that what people saw was 1/20th of what was there originally.
It was intended to be a two-parter to begin with, right?
No, I don't recall that. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, well, Mr. Ellison, this is Steve Hammel again, and I really want to thank you for being on Reality Ranch with us. We have a jam-crammed show this evening. We've got so many people to get on. I really appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much, and John Ellis thanks you, and we wish you the best of luck. What's the next thing we can look to see from you?
I guess the books from Pyramid. There's one a month. You'll get more than your fill.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Fine, thank you for talking.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Harlan.
Okay, good night. Okay, wow. Here we are. That's like 3 people within. That's pretty good. I think we're trucking right along. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, good night now. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a few questions.
Go ahead.
Where can I get the circuit diagram of how they made the sound for the transporter and for the warp engine?
I doubt if you can get that because it belongs to Glenn Sound Company in Hollywood, and they are very cautious. They don't let any of their methods out. They keep them under lock and key so that none of the other sound companies can swipe them. They have done most of the major television series and just all kinds of stuff for movies and everything, and that would be very tough. The best thing to do is talk to somebody at an electronic store about a orchestron or a mellotron, which is it's similar to a Moog, and you can get all kinds of effects out of it, and some of them you can even run your voice through.
Okay, now why don't you explain, while we've got this listener on the line, why don't we explain to all the listeners exactly what this person's asking about? What is he asking about?
Well, he's asking how to get a circuit together to basically get to reproduce exactly the sounds from Star Trek, such as the transporter effect, the phaser effect. A lot of them are just feedback and modulated and run backwards, and they add women screaming and just all kinds of things to it, and they get very weird effects. A number of them were done electronically, but there's no way of telling. The best thing to do is experiment on your own.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yep, and I'd like to ask John, what was his favorite Star Trek episode?
What was your favorite Star Trek episode, John?
My favorite Star Trek episode, I would have to say it's Mirror, Mirror, about the alternate world where there's another Enterprise and the people, they're advanced in rank on the ship by assassination and things. Very strange, but it gave George Takei and a lot of the other actors a chance to really let as he said, let his hair hang out and really have fun with the role.
Okay, thank you for calling. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch. Hello? That's wrong. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi, I'm waiting for Fred.
Oh, okay, hold on. Fast Freddy is at it again. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Steve?
Yes.
Yes, I have been a Star Trek fan for many years, and I have found a way to reproduce the Star Trek sound. Wait a minute. Dr. Spock, help me, please.
Well, there we go again.
Did you like it?
Yes, very good. Thanks for calling. Well, it is about that time, since we're talking about outer space and all those things. We've got all kinds of things to do, and I've got a little red light, that's a panic button that's facing me right now, and I've got to answer the phone. And after all, we don't want to talk about. I'm certain that's my girlfriend calling me up on the telephone there. So since we're going to deal with outer space, we may as well deal with outer space in music.
sure as you and me, they got to be out there. Somewhere. In all of space with just one race, take a look around at every place. Lift your eyes up to the skies. As fast as light, hover in the night. Will they be friendly or must we fight? Can we compete? Are we too weak? They're out there, just as sure as you and me. They got to be out there. Somewhere. But don't you worry, never fear. They're not really out there. They're here.
Steve Hammel, reality rancher Steve, and John Ellis, who's the chief of the Star Trek Federation Fan Club of South Florida. 96 FM was WMYQ Miami, and right now on the telephone with us is George Takei. Do you know who he is? If you watch the series Star Trek, you'll remember him as Lieutenant Sulu. Remember? Lieutenant Sulu, the navigation man and the helmsman. John, are we ready to talk on the radio?
Certainly are.
Okay, great. Hello?
We're on the air, George.
Okay. Go ahead. Hello, Mr. Takei. My name is Steve Hammel. I'm a reality rancher.
Good.
Could you tell us what you enjoyed most about doing Star Trek?
What I enjoyed most about doing Star Trek, well, there are many levels that I enjoyed it. First, I think it's always a pleasure for an actor to be associated with a show that's crafted with such care and integrity, and I think that's why the show still is very popular in the syndication. Gene Roddenberry put a great deal of attention and thoughtfulness to the craftsmanship of the show, the kind of writers that he selected, the set designers, etc. And certainly the scripts all showed a great deal of substance beyond just grinding something out for television, you know. So to be associated with a show like that was a good experience. Also, I think the co-workers, the other actors that we had to work with were, first of all, thorough professionals, and that's always a joy to work with. But beyond that, they turned out to be, wonderful people, and many of them are personal friends still to this day. Because of these various conventions that have been going on, we get many opportunities to cross paths on weekends. And finally, I guess, it's, one of the benefits of doing a show that was that good is that it has a long life to it. I certainly didn't expect it to be as popular as it is today, but the syndication's been fantastically popular, and based on that, the viewers, the fans have been organizing conventions and other opportunities to get together with us. So there have been a lot of really wonderful things associated with it.
Did you ever, I don't know if anybody's asked you this, but had you ever asked to have any changes in any of the scripts with lines you were saying that you thought weren't exactly in your character of Sulu?
Well, not so much in that respect, but in the respect of getting the participation of the character more enlarged.
when you have about 7 or 8 regular running characters, the opportunities to do things become very limited. So I was always lobbying with Gene Roddenberry to be given a lot more to do, suggesting ideas to Roddenberry about how the characters who can be worked into certain situations, etc. You know, so there was always that kind of effort being made to make Sulu a bit more prominent. I think every season we had each one of the cast members had at least one script in which he or she had an opportunity to do something, you know, and that made it worthwhile.
I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this before, but you know of any instances where a member of the cast, the regular cast, was ever hurt in an episode or hurt fairly bad?
Hurt in an episode?
Yes, hurt.
Well, I have a tendency sometimes to get over-enthusiastic in some of the action scenes, and I do recall a couple of instances when some of our stuntmen got a little bloodied by it, but I can't recall any situation where any of the regular actors got seriously hurt. Many people may have heard that Bill Shatner hurt himself on the set of his latest series, Barbary Coast. But I can't recall now. You know, it's actually been 6 years since the cancellation of the show, so the memory gets a bit dim, but I can't recall any real serious injury suffered by any of the regular actors. I know of 2 stuntmen with whom I was involved that got a little bit hurt. I felt badly about that.
Well, we had Scotty on, Jimmy Doohan, and we had him on just a little while back, and he tells us that you are quite a person when it comes to the swords, and is it karate?
Yes.
Is it true?
What?
That you are quite handy with the swords?
Yes, well, you know, there's that one segment called Naked Time in which I got to do a little brandishing of a fencing foil. At that time, I knew, this is a confession that I'm making to you, I knew nothing, or at least a month before that, I knew nothing about fencing. But a writer for Star Trek, a very gifted writer named John D.F. Black, happened to be on the set one day, and we were talking, and he mentioned that he was thinking of working in an episode with some fencing in a script that he was working on, and did I know anything about fencing? I knew nothing about fencing, of course, but my response was, of course I do, I'm very good at it. And then that evening, I dashed out and got a list of fencing instructors. And that weekend I was taking my first fencing lesson. So what you saw on television was the result of, I would say, something like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of intensified, desperate practicing. But as a result of it, I came to like fencing. It's a real graceful and disciplined sport, and also a great way of keeping in shape, so I try to keep it up as much as I can. The martial arts, too, is something that I know the fundamentals of, and I study with a master of the Korean Harlan form.
What was your favorite series, or your favorite show of all the Star Trek shows?
Favorite episode? I suppose that one where I did that fencing bit, Naked Time, was one of them. Another show that I look back fondly on is Mirror, Mirror, in which we examine the negative aspect of our universe. So although the audience had known us as the lovable Sulu and the superior intellect Mr. Spock and that dynamic leader Kirk, in this particular segment we examined the negative aspect of it, and I got to say, for us as actors, that was one of the enjoyable aspects of doing a science fiction series, that you weren't saddled with one character throughout. There were scripts like Mirror, Mirror, which gave you an opportunity to examine a different aspect of the character, or the science fiction forum allowed, for example, Jimmy Doohan to age in one series. So it was almost like doing repertory theater.
Let me ask you one question. Mirror, Mirror is the show with the dog, the split personality dog. Is that right?
No.
No? That's not.
Oh yeah, it is. That's right.
Split personality dog.
The dog that was vicious. The strange creature, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute.
You know, my memory's awfully dim.
Mine too.
You see, I watch Star Trek all the time, and I've seen all of them, but I don't remember most of the titles.
That was The Enemy Within, where Bill Shatner was split into two personalities. That was a totally different episode.
Oh, okay.
Our resident expert here. Thank you, John.
So, do you keep up with? Do you follow Star Trek? I mean, you were in it, the whole. Well, the bulk of the time. You came in the second year, was it?
No.
No,
you were there from...
Walter was the one that came in the second year, the Russian character. I was in it originally, but the second season, or at the end of the first season, in the hiatus in between the first and second season, I went off on location with John Wayne to do a feature film. And the contract read such that I would be back on the set by the beginning of the second season. Unfortunately, we got caught in a real rainy season in Georgia, where we were on location. And our schedule was completely thrown off kilter, and so I was kept in Georgia longer than I had anticipated, and I missed out on an awful lot of episodes, the second season, which was, to me, really a source of great frustration. But I was with the show all 3 seasons.
So, tell me, George, what have you been doing theatrically and non-theatrically since the series went off the air?
Well, the thing that people can look forward to most in the nearest future is an episode of Hawaii Five-0. As it turns out, it's going to be the second show of the new season, segment entitled Death's Name is SAM, Surface-to-Air Missile. I play in it 2 characters, both the good guy and the bad guy. So, again, it was a fun show to do from an acting standpoint. Another show that was recently aired on PBS, and I found very, very satisfying to work on as an actor, was a segment in the Theater in America series entitled The Year of the Dragon. A very powerful drama written by a young, and I think very gifted playwright from San Francisco. This gave me an opportunity to really sink my teeth into a rich, meaty role, and I enjoyed that.
I understand you've been working more or less kind of politically in California. Would you like to mention something about that?
Yeah, I've been involved in the political arena, I guess, from way back, really, actually. Even before I could vote, I was a volunteer for many good candidates in their campaign. And 2 years ago, I did run for office, something that I never thought I'd find myself doing, but many of my political friends and associates urged me to make that move. And I must say it was an experience that I found very, very rewarding. Although I didn't win, came in second, lost by about 3%, percentage points. So it was a good showing, and as a result of that, I have credibility in the political arena, but at the same time, I have my career also. If I had won, I wouldn't be able to continue in my chosen career of acting. Right now, I'm serving on the board of directors of the Southern California Rapid Transit District. We're on the verge of getting started on a massive project to build a rapid transit line here in Los Angeles, something that we've needed for 20 years. We're finally on the verge of launching that project.
Let me ask you a question. It sounds like you're a man who has to do something that's worthwhile, not just keep himself busy, but do something that's actually going to leave something to his credit behind. How much of that is important to you when you take a script, or how important was it to you in performing in Star Trek?
I think in many ways Star Trek reflects that, and all of us who are involved in Star Trek embody that attitude, because, you know, most television is there to offer light entertainment, and the attitude of the makers is to grab the money and run, grind something out, to hold an audience enthralled for half an hour, and that's it. But with Star Trek, we approached it a little bit differently. Primarily, again, here, this is Gene Roddenberry's doing. He felt that the real potential of this potent medium of television hadn't really been utilized yet by network television, and he felt that it was too constricted by do's and don'ts, a lot of restrictions on television, what you can say, some of the subjects that you can deal with, etc. So that he was constantly trying to push out those areas of limitation on television. I think every one of our scripts, in varying degrees, dealt with substantial issues of that time, of the mid-'60s. And that was what was very satisfying to us as actors. And I think all of us, whether, Leonard Nimoy, certainly we share this in common. He's very much involved in the political arena as well. Mm-hmm. We want to use our craft, our talent, and our whatever we bring to our activity in making some meaningful contribution to society, either altering some of the aspects that we might hopefully be able to alter for the better, or to keep some of the negative aspects from becoming too prominent. I think it's important that we use this medium in that way, and we found it very satisfying that that's the kind of audience that we were able to reach. That we use television as a two-way communication medium rather than people just sitting in their living rooms and absorbing in what was being telecast at them. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Star Trek viewers are such great letter writers, the people that they're such great responders to the stimulus that they got from television. They took the initiative and organized conventions throughout the country, and as a matter of fact, it's becoming international. I'm going to England next week for a convention there. But that's the kind of people who were able to reach. People that didn't just sit there and respond. The people that sit there and absorb, but responded and took the initiative. And to us, we feel that we as actors made our contribution in making that kind of dialogue with an audience possible. I think that's really the true power of television, to use it as a two-way communication medium, a dialogue medium, rather than just a sales or lulling narcotic medium, which so much of television seems to be nowadays.
Well, what was the most important message Star Trek carried as you see it?
Each one of our shows had a message or observation or commentary of varying kinds, but I think perhaps if I were to generalize and say that there was one constant kind of message, I think it's in what we saw weekly on the show, very subtly, without any kind of underlining or any kind of verbal statement of it. What you saw was a spaceship populated by many people, each very proficient and expert in his or her own area. People that looked different. We were, of all ethnicity there. We had women as well as men working in crucial capacities. We never made a real big thing of this, but here you saw people of great diversity working together on a common cause to overcome a common challenge with each show. It showed that we were all interlinked and interdependent on each other. If I didn't do my thing as a true professional, then the others were affected and their safety and well-being was jeopardized. And if someone else didn't do his thing, then my thing was jeopardized. We're all interlinked, and in essence, that's the statement for all of us, isn't it? We're fine. You know, we were all very different, but we didn't find that difference to be something that separated us, but something that made working and living on the USS Enterprise something that made it rich. That diversity made it an interesting place to be functioning in. So that I think symbolically the USS Enterprise represented Earth, and all of us represented Earth people, and the subtle, unstated message that they saw visually every week after week after week was the fact that we're all interdependent on each other. We're all different. We should find that different source of the vitality and richness of our society rather than the source of hate and warfare. We never really made that statement, but it was constantly made, I guess, subtly and visually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think John...
Probably the most important message that Star Trek telecast.
I think John might have something he'd like to say to you, and I want to thank you very much for being on Reality Ranch this Sunday evening, and I really appreciate it. George Takei, Lieutenant Sulu.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. John's going to... do you have something to say to George?
Hi.
You still there? I want to thank you again in front of all these people for the tremendous show you put on for us at the Palm Beach Contra International was it last week? I don't even remember. I've lost all track of time, but...
Me too. It was, as I told you before, a very, very pleasant and relaxed experience, and I think the way in which you put it together gave me an opportunity to meet people on a personal level, individually, and to get their ideas and their opinions on why they thought Star Trek was something that they found interesting. So I want to thank you in return for having created that kind of conference and having invited me to be a part of it.
Yeah, from what you said before, I hope to expect you back next year, and I will be talking to you, and thank you very much for being on the show with us. Okay, we'll see you then.
And that's George Takei, Lieutenant Sulu, navigation officer and helmsman of the USS Enterprise in the Star Trek series. Star Trek. Where are we now? We've got to take some questions. We've been trying to get people on the phone. Certain people have tons of questions, and if you want to ask your question, it's 673-9636 in Dade County, 761-9636 in Broward County. And let's go to the phone here. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that I won tickets to the Dolphins game, and I really had a lot of fun. I hope they do that again.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi.
Hi.
I'd like to point out some discrepancies in the show Star Trek.
Okay.
Now sometimes when they get hit, like with phasers and stuff, the ships start shaking and they hear all this noise when they're not supposed to hear anything because space is a vacuum, unless something metal hits the sides of the ship or something like that. And then they're all thrown back. How could they be thrown back when, number one, they're in an artificial gravity, and number two, they're supposed to be moving the same speed with the ship, and they would be thrown forward instead of backwards.
Okay. Well, wow, it's loud. The reason for this is that it's for dramatic effect. Now, if they're sitting in their chairs and they have seat belts and the chairs are bolted to the floor, they get there's an explosion 10 feet away from them, or well, let's say 100 yards away from them, and Spock turns around and says, "Gee, an explosion just went off right next to us. Isn't that nice?" And nothing happens. And but when you have the people falling out of the chairs and the ship being rocked, it adds a certain amount of the dramatic effect to it. It's necessary. Well, I'm trying not to downgrade the writers, but it's very hard for a writer to write around things like that. There certainly was a lot of things in the show that wasn't correct, but still, it doesn't keep it from being a good show.
Okay, let me answer that question. Actually, John has explained it somewhat, but I didn't know all those things you just said. and so if they had an explosion on the spacecraft somewhere and the people didn't go flying all over the place, granted it may look phony at times, but if people didn't go flying all over the place, I wouldn't have known there was just a tragedy somewhere.
Oh.
You see? So I mean, I'm not as aware of what goes on in outer space, in the vastness and the vacuum of space as you, but, you know, I would have to have some way to understand that, and that's what that you know, knocking people out of chairs does.
It's
Okay.
it's just like watching a movie, and you know, in real life, you would never hear music all around you, and a change of music with a change of the mood of what's going on, the action. It's just like adding a music track to a film is adding the sound effects, and you have to take it. It's artistic license, really.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for calling now.
Thank
Okay. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Would you believe I'm still waiting for Fred?
You're still waiting for Fast
We
Freddy.
can get on.
Hold on a second. We're going to put this guy on hold. Okay. Now, howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi, I'd like to hear this. I'd like to hear this tape.
What's it about?
It's just one of these, like, you know, that Jaws.
Okay, go ahead.
Ready, go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sir. What is your name? Captain Fantastic.
I'm sorry, I can't hear it. Thanks for calling. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Okay, hi, I got a bunch of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering how many stars, how many of the people, okay, what kind of people are going to be at the Miami Con at the December 18th at Miami Beach?
Well, the convention is aimed, I guess, mostly at comic fans, but there's something for everyone there. For the Star Trek fan, there'll be James Doohan, and the man that's organizing the convention is, working on getting other people for different interest, science fiction writers, and et cetera. Right now, some things are rather vague as to what will be happening, but it should be an interesting experience.
Yes?
Yeah, okay, and I was also wondering, in the Tholian Registry, they have a thing about a new magazine, fanzine, coming out, North and South editors and all. I was wondering if you got any more details on that.
Well, to let the listeners know what's going on, the Tholian Registry is the newsletter that's put out by the Star Trek Federation of Fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did mention that. Nothing has been finalized as of yet. I will be the managing editor, and really, since the convention, this last Labor Day weekend, I haven't had a chance to do anything. During the convention, I didn't have a chance to do anything. I was up all night and things, and we're just trying to coordinate it now, and I suggest if you belong to the club, just watch in the Tholian Registry. If you do not belong, if you're not in the club right now, you can join by writing to us, writing the Star Trek Federation of Fans, Post Office Box 69, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33402. I'll repeat that. Star Trek Federation of Fans, Post Office Box 69, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33402.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd also like to say I really like the Tholian Registry, and I was wondering if they're going to come out with another one.
Well, the Tholian Registry was a humor magazine we put out. It was a one-shot magazine. We may put out another one at a later date, but most of the people have been wanting a serious article magazine with interviews and dynamite artwork and photos, so we're going to try to do the best to put out the best Star Trek fanzine. It will be professional, very professional, and I think that you'll enjoy that, and we may throw in a few humor articles as we can.
Okay, thanks very much for calling. Bye-bye. Oh, yes. Well, let's see if we can get this straightened out there. Okay. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hello?
Yes.
I'd like to ask about the StarCon in Miami Beach.
The who?
StarCon or whatever it is.
Oh, that's the Miami Con. That will be December 19th, that weekend. The Miami Con 1 will be in Miami Beach the weekend of December 19th. Let's see, I don't really have the information with me on that, but you can get the information at a mini Star Trek convention, which will be held October 12th at the Marriott, the Miami Marriott. That's down by Lejeune Road and 836, I think it is.
Yeah.
October 12th from about 10 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon, and they'll be showing Star Trek episodes and all kinds of interesting things. And I'm quite sure the gentleman will have a table there, and we'll be handing out literature on the Miami Con.
Okay.
I couldn't hear a word you said.
Okay, what he said is you'll have to go to the mini convention, which is coming up. What's the date?
October 12th.
October 12th. The mini convention's October 12th, and it's at the Marriott Hotel. It is at Lejeune Road. And, what is it? The East-West Connector.
Yeah, 836.
Okay? Okay, thanks for calling now. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, how you doing?
I got a lot of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Business, then Star Trek, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I've got a coupon here at home, and I'm supposed to be getting another one in a couple of weeks. Now, can I mail them back to you and have you mail the albums to me?
I'll tell you the truth. I am not at all involved with the distribution of albums, okay? The thing I suggest you do is that you call the radio station at 538-5321 tomorrow during business hours and talk with Terry. Ask for Terry. She's taking care of the albums, and she'll take care of that for you, okay?
Okay.
And that's about as best I can do.
Okay, and, let me see. I forgot what I was going to say.
You were going to ask about Star Trek.
Yeah, I know that. I forgot what the question was, though.
Can't think it up?
No, I'll have to call back later.
Okay, hey, well, thanks for calling now. Bye-bye. We got, howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
I was at the convention in August, and George Takei, he said something like, he was going to be the captain of the ship in the Star Trek movie, and his legs were going to get damaged somehow, and Dr. McCoy, who was retired at the time, would build a bionic ones, and I wanted to know if John could say anything more about it.
Bionic Sulu, huh?
Yeah, well, that was in the original script, which has been turned down by the lords that may be at Paramount. I really don't know what they're going to do about the script now, but that script did have George Takei, Lieutenant Sulu, as a captain of his own starship. The starship was destroyed, most of it anyway, and he lost his legs, and the Federation gave him bionic legs. I don't know if that will be in the script, the final film version. I do know that Paramount wants very much to do a film, and they're just waiting for the proper script or the proper form of it. Who writes that? Under consideration, besides Gene, he has a list of 6 writers. On that list are Samuel Peoples, who wrote the second pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before, and also Harlan Ellison, who we talked with a little earlier.
But Harlan said that he's really not even dealing with Paramount now.
Well, he is to a certain extent, but that was a few years ago.
Okay. Okay, hey, did that answer your question?
Yeah. See you later, John, okay?
Okay, thank you for calling. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to ask 2 questions.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, John, could you tell me if there's any possibility of Star Trek being on again?
It's a very good possibility. NBC wants them to bring the series back, and Paramount wants to make money and do the movie and the whole bit. And the whole name of the game really is at this point money, and that's the only thing that's going to make Paramount do anything. It may not be back as it will never be back as an hour series. It might come back as a once-a-month mini movie, such as Columbo or McCloud. It will more than likely come back in one form or another, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, because I'm sure it's going to be another hit again.
It'll be a smash.
Yes. I'd like to ask you, where could you get the theme song for Star Trek?
The Star Trek Federation of Fans, we carry it. I think we're out of them now, but the record should be available in just about any record store.
It's kind of difficult to come by.
Well,
it's difficult.
They offered to send us about 500 of them. I think we may take them up on the deal.
Okay.
Oh, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who else are you going to talk to tonight from Star Trek?
We have one more person on the list, right?
It's Norman Spinrad. He was the writer. He wrote the episode The Doomsday Machine, and we're going to be calling him in just a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
One more call. Here we go. Howdy, you're on Reality Ranch.
Hi, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk to the Star Trek man?
Sure can.
Could you tell me if there's a gay branch of the Star Trek Federation of Fans?
No, I would tend to doubt that. Thanks for calling. I think that's time right now.
Yeah,
to,
very much so.
To dial in to Norman Spinrad while you're doing that. Oh, I'm going to tell you that it's been a lot of fun tonight. I've really enjoyed myself tonight. This Star Trek. You think about that. Think about the series Star Trek. And you think about all the fun you had sitting there. Look up at the millions of these days. Sitting there, looking at it and say, that'll never happen. No, that'll never happen. And sure enough, a lot of the things that Star Trek talked about seem to be happening now, at least as far as space travel is progressing. We've had a Russian-American space mission now. They're talking about putting men on Mars, building a colony that would orbit the moon, things like that. It's quite amazing what scientists are dealing with these days. Strange. Okay, are we doing okay there?
Yeah, I have Norman on now, and if it's okay with you, do you want to go on the air? Okay.
Okay.
Put us on the air.
Yes. Norman Spinrad, right? Mr. Spinrad.
How do you do?
My name's Steve Hammel. I'm the moderator of Reality Ranch, which is on 96 FM in Miami Beach, and we welcome you. Could you tell us your part in Star Trek?
Well, I was one of the earlier writers on the program.
Mm-hmm. What did you author? Wasn't it the Doomsday Machine?
Yeah, it was the Doomsday Machine. I wrote another one which was never produced. It was cannibalized various scripts, and I wrote the Doomsday Machine.
The Doomsday Machine, wasn't that the great big thing that ate planets?
Yeah, that's what it was. In the simplified sense, it was a giant automated weapon. At least in the final version, that's what it was. That went around eating planets and devouring ships and had to be destroyed.
What did you think about the way they made the planet killer in the filmed version as opposed to the plans you had drawn up for them?
A lot of changes. The original concept of the thing was as a living organism. But it was decided not to do it that way, to make it a robot. Actually, the original concept was something in between a robot and a living organism. It was an artificially created life form that was serving the same purpose as the robot destroyer. That was considered too complicated, for television, and so it was simplified down to a robot. That was one of the changes that was made for practical reasons, for television type reasons.
Well, were they legitimate reasons as you saw it? Did it take away from the overall message of your script?
Yeah, that made it simplified the script a little bit. It simplified it. Well, it simplified it in the good and bad sense. It might have made it more understandable to some people, but it lost some depth from that. Similarly, the character of Captain
Decker, which was the major starring role that William Wyndham played in the piece. Went through a lot of changes too for a variety of reasons. He was originally a much stronger kind of character. It was not found weak in crime, but was found defiant on the ship and so forth. And when I was working on the original concept of that with Gene Roddenberry, the idea was to think of Robert Ryan playing the part. So it was written in that kind of way, and then it was cast in a different kind of way and changed, partially to fit the casting, and partially because there was always a problem of having the guest star dominate the regulars, which they did not want to happen in terms of who had the most dramatic lines, who looked stronger in what scene, and so forth. These are all the kind of inside stuff that affects how things get altered.
Well, what were you trying to say? I don't know. Let me try to recap why don't you briefly recap the show and refresh everybody's memory, because I'm certain everybody's seen it. And could you tell us what you were trying to get, the point you wanted to convey to the audience?
Well, again, it's hard for me to remember my original story, which was based on on a story that I had written previously. So I went through many versions of this, but in the basic version, it was kind of like a sort of a Moby Dick kind of story. Captain Decker loses his ship to this great living creature, which is a artificially created creature, which is the Doomsday Machine. And he conceives a vendetta against the creature that destroyed his ship, and he uses the Enterprise to carry out his vendetta. He finally, after doing this unsuccessfully a while, dives a shuttle ship into the mouth of the thing, and you can do this better than I can. There's nothing more deadly than a writer giving plot summaries of his own.
Okay, well, let me, John, why don't you recap the series, okay? The show.
You mean the ending of it?
Well, yes.
Maybe I can explain it to you what the difference is. Basically, in the original concept, it was a much more strongly character. The character of Captain Decker was like the dominant theme there, It was a very strong kind of character. It was a defiant character, the kind of guy you would find out in space, and so forth. And that was what was really lost in the transition from the original idea to what was done. And so it became a more simple, straightforward adventure story of destroying this creature which was terrorizing planets and eating up spaceships. I think that sums it up better than I was doing before. I mean, that tells you what it's about.
Okay, well, what were you trying to convey? What were you trying to convey? Any great moral message or anything?
Well, I don't know if I was trying to create no, there wasn't a moral message. It was a character story. The interesting thing for me was the character of the captain. And that's what was lost. It was a character story. Here's a guy that loses his ship and conceives a vendetta which makes him an obsessive character, so he can psychologically overcome people like Spock and McCoy through force of character, really. And it was a story where it was basically built around the character relationships like that. Because the actual events that take place are, fairly straightforward and simple in terms of the, action-adventure kind of stuff. It was mainly that as a background for the story of the captain.
Mr. Spinrad, what are you doing these days?
I'm writing novels, short stories. I've had a novel out on Hollywood. It's coming out again in paperback in January called Passing Through the Flame, which is a lot about making movies, among other things, although not much about television.
Norman, why do you like writing science fiction? What is your reason?
Well, I'm not writing entirely science fiction anymore, but I guess the real reason I write science fiction is because you can do anything you want in it. You have a total freedom of style, subject matter, and content, and treatment, and you can write straight out of your own head in a way.
Can you tell us basically your other script that you were working on, or if there was several, kind of what they might have been about had they done them? I
was called in and said, write a script around Milton Berle. Milton And anyway, I conceived of an idea of a guy goes down to of a guy who is stranded on a planet, a primitive planet. He purposely strands himself there. He's kind of a preacher type, and sets out to uplift the civilization, the primitive civilization of the planet by creating a religious cult of himself. And he's got some technology from off planet which he uses to build his mystique, and he's trying to change the folkways of the planet, and try and civilize it, and through the cult of his own personality, and he makes himself into a god. And so he's discovered doing this and having violated 80 million prime directives, but they've got to get him off the planet without violating the prime directive themselves, which that's the basic problem, is to break this guy's hold. Who's a perfectly sincere guy trying to do good, but he's ruining the planet. Because he's causing the natural indigenous culture to fall apart.
It sounds actually like they might have done one like that.
They took pieces of this. It was a very complex script. It had to do with a man becoming a god. It had to do with this kind of story of what, was a paradigm of what happens when the Western technology moves into third world countries. It was a race story. It was all of these things combined. And finally, at one point, Gene Kuhn, who was the producer at that time, decided to do it as a comedy. He never got Milton Berle, but he decided to do it as a comedy. And rewrote a script, my script, on my second draft of one of the drafts, into a comedy. And I was so incensed about the whole thing. Not going to work as comedy, and that this thing just should not be done at all, but it's going to be done this way. And so what happened was, it was never done at all in one piece. And various little facets of it crept out into other scripts. I'm in possession of a 30-page memo on that script. Single space type. Changes from one draft to another. It was a very I had thought that the first story I did was fairly simple. The Doomsday Machine. And for this, it turned out it was simplified before it went on the air from what I had done to some extent. And this turned out to be much too complex and dealing with too many issues for what they were doing at that time.
Norman, where can we look for some of your books to be coming out, hardback or paperback?
Well, I have a new paperback of my current Putnam hardcover, which is Passing Through the Flame. The paperback of that, this is my large novel about Hollywood, is coming out in January from Berkeley Books. The Iron Dream is currently out in the Avon edition. What else is out? I have a short story collection that's published this spring called No Direction Home by Pocket Books. What else is coming out? And I've done a sort of a definitive textbook anthology of science fiction called Modern Science Fiction, which is generally recognized as the published by Anchor Books. And modern science fiction is generally considered, the best introduction to the field for someone who doesn't know it. It was primarily designed as a book for courses in science fiction, but it consists of 250,000 words of stories, and then my commentary weaving the whole thing into a total history of the field. And for people who are into science fiction, who want to turn other people onto science fiction, it's kind of an ideal Christmas present or something.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Mr. Spinrad, and we appreciate having you on Reality Ranch.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wish you the best of
program, by the way.
Pardon me?
You have an interesting concept of doing your program.
Well, thank you very much.
Very good.
Okay. Good night now. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Norman Spinrad, and we've been talking with folks who've had all kinds of things to do with Star Trek. And, I guess the best thing to do right now is to more or less wrap up what we've been dealing with this evening. And the way we do that is just to sort of sum up. If you were to sum up what Star Trek is all about, how would you do it, John?
Well, that's kind of... You're dumping something in my lap here. Star Trek is fun for people that are looking for something to show them that there will be a future and that we can have fun and do it in a nice way. And we won't destroy ourselves, and we really have something to look forward to. you all are interested at all, even a tiny bit, in the conventions that are going on, the fan activity down here, getting into a group, having fun, parties, everything, please don't hesitate to write to us, and we'll put you on the right track there's going to be 2 or 3 mini cons before Christmas, plus the Miami Con here, and then next year in Palm Beach Con too. You should write to us, write to the Star Trek Federation of Fans, abbreviated STFF if you'd like. Post Office Box 69, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33402. We'd appreciate hearing from you because there's an awful lot of you guys out there that would probably really enjoy the fan activity.
Thanks very much, John. Yeah, that's what you call getting blown away. Boy, Star Trek. That's been a lot of fun tonight. I've really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun talking about that. I never knew there was so much to Star Trek. The president of the Star Trek fan club, John Spagnola, and since the engineers on Reality Ranch have decided it's time to tie up the fences and rake all the leaves and all that and pretty up Reality Ranch. Since we're signing off early, I just thought I'd let everybody say good night. Do you want to say anything? You all want to cheer into a good night? 1, 2, 3. Good night, all. Yes, and thanks very much. Thanks very much for being with us, John Ellis and John Spagnola. And hopefully we'll have you all back again next week, okay? Good night. This has been Reality Ranch. I want to remind you that the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the management of WMYQ. 96 FM was WMYQ, Miami.